The Binding of Isaac is welcoming players back to the basement. The massive new expansion known as The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth will hit Steam on October 30th, just in time for Halloween. It promises to add more than 1,000 new rooms to the game, along with a new final boss, a new mode, 120 new items to discover, and a new playable character. The developers say that all the new content combined will give fans more than 100 hours of new gameplay. The Afterbirth DLC will only be available for the most recent version of the game, The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, and there's also no word yet on when it will be available for consoles. You can watch our review of The Binding of Isaac on EPN.tv. It looks like your local movie theater still has plenty of life left in it. Variety reports that summer 2015 was the second most successful year at the box office of all time, with global ticket sales reaching $4.4 billion. That's thanks to massive hits like Jurassic World, The Avengers Age of Ultron, and Inside Out. All told, 2015 was 10% better than 2014, and the only year with better numbers was summer 2013. Keep in mind that these figures have not been adjusted for inflation. Although film attendance has been dwindling in North America, it's gone up around the world, especially in emerging markets like China. Studios have also been winning back audiences with new technologies like 3D and IMAX, which also gives them an excuse to raise ticket prices. Expect 2015's box office to get even better when a little movie called Star Wars: The Force Awakens lands in theaters this December. We couldn't have a more diverse collection of things to talk about here. We've got a little indie game that went very big, and we've got some of the biggest properties in all of IP to talk about today. Scott Jones is here joining me.
Yes.
What do you think about the DLC for The Binding of Isaac Rebirth?
I love this game. I love that it's a roguelike. I love you go into new rooms. You don't know what's going to be there. You know, whatever happened in the last game is not going to be there going forward. You've got a new final boss here. You've got all kinds of new items.
Yeah.
I still haven't even deduced what some of the items do in the original version of the game, and now I got to figure out what these new items do. This is so exciting for me.
And why it works so well is because the mechanics have always been so incredibly strong, but there's also a lot of thought and love and subtext with this game and this series now.
I mean, really, the story, the core story, and it kind of gets lost in all this, is a kid who is crying, and he's got an over-religious mom, and he's suffering, and you're sort of walking him through his recovery. And I love the sort of...
It's amazing.
Yeah, I love the different levels in there, and I love just how much fun it is, just how much gamerific kind of fun is there. You can quote me on gamerific.
And big year for Hollywood, and a little bit expected because some of these movies are huge tentpoles.
So many of these movies are just terrible, critically terrible, and you go to the movies now and it's so unpleasant. It just is. It's
because
unpleasant.
Of the
There's
commercials.
40 minutes of commercials before I get to watch the movie, and it costs $15. It's like, I do not understand why the numbers are still so good for movies.
We need places to go, We're increasingly cocooning. We're increasingly becoming more digitally connected all the time.
Let's just go have coffee. Let's be friends.
So, okay, we can have coffee and discuss the terrible movie that we just saw that made $2.6 billion.
Sure.
But this year is going to be ridiculous because Spectre is still coming and Star Wars is still coming. And by the end of it, this is absolutely going to blow box office projections out of the water. This is going to be the biggest box office year by far. All right, well, we've got to move on. We've got to go back to video games. We've got Skylanders Superchargers right now.
The Rundown is brought to you by EB Games.